celebrating 11 years of possibility. Pilot Flying J and Halloran Hilton Hill present Anything is Possible. Today's guest, Coach Holly Warlick.
Welcome to another edition of Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill, and my guest today is UT's head basketball coach for the Lady Vols, Holly Warlick. Welcome to the broadcast.
Harold, thanks for having me.
When you would come by the station, I would get so excited about seeing you because your energy and your enthusiasm and your passion, it's like somebody turned the volume up to 10 and then snatched the knob off. You are one energetic person, and I always love seeing you. Thank you for being here today.
Well, I love what you do, appreciate what you do, and I'm glad I have my job and you keep your job because I wouldn't dare do what you're doing.
Bearden High School is where I want to start. You are one of our own, and I have to say that when they named you head coach, I was like, good decision, yay. And then I was glad for our hometown because my son was a Bearden High Bulldog, and you were born and raised right here in Knoxville, and you played at Bearden High School. Talk to me about growing up in Knoxville, and talk to me about your beloved Bearden High School.
Well, I grew up in Rocky Hill when Rocky Hill was just the sticks. There wasn't anything out there. And went through Rocky Hill Elementary School, which is still there. So every time I drive by there, I feel extremely old. Then I went to Bearden Middle School, which is the adaptive center, and then went to the high school. And I loved high school. I graduated in 1976. Had a great group. Had just fabulous teachers, and I think it's so important that you have the teachers and people in place and the coaches in place to make you have a great high school experience. So I did, had a great experience, and I to this day I still cheer for Bearden. I don't tell too many people, I live in the Farragut district.
Right.
So that's way wrong.
Right.
But I live in the Farragut district, but I still try to support Bearden as much as I can.
Coaches are teachers. You love teaching?
Love teaching.
You love
Absolutely.
teaching. Who was the coach early on in your life that made you love teaching? The one that impacted you, that not only made you a better performer, but also said that made you say, I want to be that, I want to do that?
Well, in early age, it was probably my father, because he coached a lot of sports, basketball, football for my brother and those type of things. So he got the interest up. And then when I went to elementary school, I had a teacher, I'm fifth grade elementary school teacher named Catherine Shook, that said that girls can get out and run track and compete in any sport. So she put it out there for me and made it seem okay for you to do that. And my family did as well. So when you have just those type of people behind you that believe in you, and as girls, I mean, I know people don't understand it now, that the opportunities for girls back then was not available. So they allowed me to, my father almost wanted me to play on the boys baseball, the Little League baseball team, but I wanted to, but I didn't, and so played softball.
Is your father still alive?
He's not. He passed away when I was in high school.
Wow, what was that like for you?
Well, it was difficult, Howard. It was, you take I have a brother and a sister, and you take three kids with my mother, and my father passed away. We all had to make do. So I think the biggest regret I have is him not getting the chance to see me excel in high school, excel in college, and do what I'm doing now. That's probably the hardest thing.
What would he think if he could see you?
I think he'd be just totally smiling, excited. He loves the game, used to love the game. He used to tell me if I didn't have 2 fouls in the game, I wasn't playing aggressive enough. So that was the first thing I used to tell him. I got 2 fouls, at least 2 fouls. But he would have loved it.
Is your mother still alive?
My mother's still alive.
Do you ever look for her in the stands?
I see her. I see my sister and my mother sit in the same spot every time I come out, and I wave to them when I come out, and did as a player, and I've always done it as a coach. And I think my mother's, she secretly thinks she's a head coach right now.
Does she give you advice?
Well, yeah, first of all, she doesn't know all of our players' names.
Right.
But, yeah, she asked why I put certain people in, and I'm like, you need to stick to doing what you do.
What you do well is sit right there in the stands.
She's the type of parent that was got excited for me, but wasn't overbearing. Was like, okay, great, you're doing this. When I went into coaching, she said, that's great, but when are you going to get a real job?
Wow. Well,
Wanted me to get a real job.
Mom, this is real. So talk about then leaving Bearden and playing at the University of Tennessee. This is so rare that someone would move from high school to the university in their town. Talk about playing at UT.
Well, I got how Pat came to watch me play, and I sprained my ankle really, really bad, and I was very bad too on the court. So she kind of, it wasn't going to happen in basketball, and I got the opportunity to run track at UT. Terry Crawford, who was the old track coach, gave me the opportunity to run track, and I did it with the understanding. I asked her if I could walk on the basketball team, and I did that and made the team, and things just started happening. So you grow up here. University of Tennessee is where you want to be. You could go to other smaller schools, but I wanted to be here. This is where I always wanted to be. I watched.
Why?
We were involved in sports. We watched. We used to follow the football team. We followed the basketball team. It was just Tennessee's a part of our life and culture around our family, and that's what I wanted to do. And I'd met some of the players that were on the basketball team, and just thought the opportunity for me that I would have a chance. And so that's kind of how it all fell into place.
Wish that I was on old Rocky Top.
Down in the Tennessee hills.
You're not gonna sing it?
No, I can't sing. I was at the
smoggy smoke on Rocky Top.
Ain't no telephone bills.
I just wanted to hear a little bit of it from Holly Warlick.
I know all of it.
I know you know all of it. This is your town. All right, we're gonna take a break, and when we come back, let's dig in. Let's dig in, because we were talking off the air, and you have one of the biggest jobs that I think anybody in sport has, because you're coming in behind Pat Summitt.
Absolutely.
So we ought to talk about that. You are a great possibility person. You are my friend, and I'm glad you're here.
Thanks.
Holly Warlick is here. This is Anything Is Possible. We'll be right back.
Possibility powered by Pilot Flying J, Covenant Health, Home Federal, and the Knoxville News Sentinel. Coming up.
It wasn't a done deal with her decision saying, I would like for you to do it. But I think I was comfortable with her being okay with it. I was not going to take it if Pat was not going to be okay with this.
Welcome back to Anything Is Possible. This is UT's head women's basketball coach, Holly Warlick, homegirl. Welcome back. Wow. When they named you head coach, I thought, wow. First of all, I was like, you can't make any other decision than this one. You wanted it too, right?
Absolutely, absolutely.
You've been in queue for a long time for this, but when they named you head coach, the full weight of that hit me. Now, I'm not where you are, so I don't know how it hits you, but she's John Wooden.
Absolutely.
Right?
Absolutely. And Pat and I talked about me following her, but it was going to be on. Well, she just, we always said I'd push her out in a wheelchair.
Right.
I'd push her out, and with her health issues, she just felt like she couldn't do it anymore. So, I got the opportunity.
What did she say to you when she made that decision?
Well, first of all, we discussed her illness, and when she came back from the Mayo Clinic, and it was tearful, it was painful, and when you've been around it, when I was around her and saw that she wasn't doing the things that she had been doing, you understand that it's just wasn't comfortable for her, and we talked about her stepping down, and that she didn't think she could do it to her ability that she's always done. And we talked about, especially last year, me stepping in and taking over for her, and that was difficult with her on the bench and still present, still head coach. And I didn't ever want it to appear to be I was
pushing her
out or stepping on her toes. I was just doing what she asked me to do, and always will. And so that was probably the most difficult last year, was when I was up doing things, and it was still her team, and I still want to be totally respectful for her, and before she made the decision. So probably the most difficult. And then when we talked about it, I was at ease with it because I think she was comfortable with me being a possibility. It wasn't a done deal with her decision saying I would like for you to do it. But I think I was comfortable with her being okay with it. I was not going to take it if Pat was not going to be okay with this.
You would have gone somewhere else?
I would have gone somewhere else. I have too much in it, too much friendship with her. I couldn't, if I didn't have her blessing, I wouldn't have done it.
How long have you been there?
28 years. 28 years that's outside of playing for 4. Been a long time.
So you don't know anywhere else to be.
I don't know anywhere else to be. Absolutely.
So how do you do this? How do you de-lever yourself from that legacy and begin creating your own? Because the expectations are unimaginable at UT.
Right.
Anything short of championships,
you're not good enough. It's not good enough. And you know, Halloran, I've been around it. We've been doing this for 28 years, and I've been around it where we've won, and then when we don't win, and it's like, you know, fire Coach Pat Summitt. You're going to fire Pat Summitt? There's no way. So I understand the pressures, but I've been around it so much, and I love this game. I understand our team. I understand the expectations. So it was, I'm not going to say it's easy. I sometimes look back and go, am I really the head coach? I don't sit here and think, wow, I'm now the head coach. I don't. I'm just trying to do my job.
Right.
And my title's different, but my approach to it is still the same. I don't, somebody asked me the other day, do you really understand you're the head coach at the University of Tennessee? And I go, no, I don't. That's not what
But you do understand that you're a coach, and you understand that you're Holly Warlick.
Absolutely.
All right, so would you help then declare the difference, right? So Pat had her definite dozen in her system and her way, but I would love for you to declare the difference.
Well, you know, Halloran, Pat is she has a stare. I don't have a stare. She's very stoic at times, and I'm a little out of control. I mean, I'm a little bit probably a little hyper, high energy, high strung, but I think we try to get the same point across.
Right.
I love her definite dozen. I think you've got to respect others. You've got to be on time. You've got to take those essentials that you want to get across in basketball, and they have to go into these young ladies' personal lives as well. I love the defensive end of the game. I love the running up and down the floor, but I want to make sure these young women understand that basketball is an example of their life. I mean, basketball is a game, but we're trying to get them ready for life away from basketball, and one ties into the other. And we want to make sure they understand the importance of an education. Women getting educated can be self-sufficient. Make sure that they understand all the aspects of being on time. It's so important. Making sure you keep your appointments. Making sure you're respectful, those type of things. And so those part of Pat, I still want in the program. I think we just go about it in two different ways. And it's not all, it's the same message, I think.
Right.
It's just
toward
getting
the same goal. It's just how you...
Correct. It's how you get it across.
I heard this one quote that said, leadership is not a function of style, it's a function of vision and consistency.
Right.
Right? So you might have two different leaders with two different styles, but if they have a clear vision, and then if the people that are following you can see clear consistency,
exactly,
then you can push people in a direction. But when people get lost in style, that it's a style thing, and make that first, so leaders don't have to be of the same style.
Well, there's not going to be there's not another Pat Summitt. There's not going to be her style.
Right.
And I totally agree with you. And I did learn from Pat that you surround yourself with quality people.
Great people.
And I think that's what when I got the job, that was my most important thing. Who am I going to get that understands my vision, this university's vision, our program's vision, where we want to go, where we are, how difficult it's going to be to continue the legacy that Pat Summitt built. So that was so key to me, is getting people who not just so necessarily your same personalities, but they understand where we have to go.
Right.
And so when you get those people and you give them direction and you let them do what they do best, and I think that's what Pat let me do. Let me do what I did best. I had a great relationship with the players, and I was a little bit of a buffer in between Pat. So that's okay. I was doing my job. And so I think now I'm letting my assistants do their job as well. So no, yes, I'm doing what Pat has taught me to do. I'm just doing it a different way.
I just want you to know today, and I don't even know why, you don't need me to tell you this, but you shine, Holly.
Well,
I mean, you
appreciate it.
really do. And we wish you all the best. We're behind you.
I appreciate that. I
We're
really
behind
do.
you.
Thank you.
Holly Warlick is my guest. We'll be back with more in just a moment. This is Anything is Possible.
Coming up,
I don't know what all it's been said. I just know how much I love this program, and I understand where I've got to take it to.
Anything is Possible. I'm Halloran Hilton Hill. This is Holly Warlick. So I just want to talk about you now. What do you do for fun?
Well, I have 3 dogs, so I just have crazy.
What are their names?
I have Chesney, Taylor, and Sugar, so they're all labs. And I put one of my labs down last year, so I got one, and she was chocolate lab, and she was so hyper I had to get another one. So I'm an owner, and I work out a lot, run a lot, just mess around with them. And
So let me ask you this. All of this stuff that goes on when you are a head coach, and then when you're the head coach at the University of Tennessee, you're going to be the subject of conversation, and especially in March, that is the month for you. Holly, what do you want people to know? What do you want to say?
well,
I mean, what's something that you've been wanting to say to the world that hasn't been said?
Well, Howard, I don't know what all it's been said. I just know how much I love this program, and I understand where I've got to take it to. And I don't see it as a job. I don't come in every day and look and go, God, we've got to win the national championship. I try to keep things in perspective, and I take literally one day at a time, just one day at a time, and I try to get focused and get these young ladies ready to play. And prepare for the next day, but I try to stay in the moment. And as it seems difficult to everybody else, I love what I do.
What's the biggest misconception?
Gosh, I don't know. That I'm in over my head. Maybe I don't even think about a misconception. What you see in me is what you get.
Period.
I'm not Pat Summitt. I don't think there'll ever be another Pat Summitt. I don't act like Pat Summitt. I pull things that she taught me, but I am what I am. I'm crazy.
How crazy are you?
I'm pretty crazy. I say some really stupid stuff sometimes, and I'm hyper, and I probably have a little bit of. I don't listen a whole bunch. My attention span is a little short, but I go at everything full throttle, and I do it with a high intensity and a high energy. And I'll always do it with a high energy. Everything I do is...
I told you that from the very beginning. When you walk in the radio station and I see you,
Yeah.
I love feeding off your energy. I think this has been a really interesting interview for me, because I'm trying to figure out how to have this conversation with you without referencing Pat, with no disrespect to Pat.
Oh, absolutely.
And I know you feel that every day.
Every day. Well, Halloran, I know Pat's built this legacy, and here's my job. It is my job to continue that legacy. That's how I feel. It is my job to continue that legacy and make sure everybody knows that Tennessee has not gone anywhere. Now, I understand I'm not Pat, and I'm not going to do it the way she did it, but I've got to make sure my way gets it done. And I'm pulling things from her, but as I said, I'm energy. I will do
You're
stuff.
Holly.
I'll jump around on the bench, and I'll look at the bench and go, "What am I doing?" And I won't even know it. So, I'm sure I've sometimes talked too much, and I don't know probably as much as I know. I don't know as much as Pat Summitt, but I guess I mask it pretty good.
I always like for people to teach me on anything as possible because I'm always exploring the boundaries of possibility, and I always love to learn what people have learned. And what have you learned about life and possibility? What are the rules of the road, or what's your recipe? What do you know?
Well, I think you should never. I think you should never sit back, and it's kind of like the person who sits back and goes into their grave well preserved. I want to make sure that I come in and go, holy crap, that was a great ride, and everything I do is a great ride, and I'm going to make. I understand you make the best of everything. Whatever you're thrown, you make the best of everything. So that's what I try to do, and whatever I'm thrown at.
What's the toughest challenge you've had to deal with? What's the biggest thing you've had to overcome in your journey?
It's probably the situation of taking. It's been my challenge, but it also has been a good thing for me is taking over for Pat Summitt. It's always a huge challenge when I sit back and really think what I'm doing. It's a little overwhelming. It's a little scary.
20 years from now, what do you want people to be saying about Holly Warlick? And 20 years from now, what do you want your record to be?
Oh, well, gosh, I want my record to be whatever it is now, something and 7. I don't want to lose. I never want to lose. I want them to understand that I carried on a great tradition, and then tried to make it or made it even better. And it's still competitive. It's still a great place for women's basketball. And then after I do all that, I want to go down to the beach and retire and watch it on TV.
Does God play a part of this whole thing?
Absolutely. I think I've truly been blessed. God gave me the athletic ability to do what I do. Gives me the opportunity to affect these young women. I believe I have a faith that I was put here to do what I'm doing. It didn't happen by chance. I don't think anything happens really by chance. You may throw in a little luck, but I think I'm doing what God has asked me and wanted me to do, and that's to take over for Coach Summitt and carry on her legacy, and be there for these kids.
Wow, and you will be there for these kids. I'm glad you came by to see me today.
I appreciate you having me.
I wish you all the best going forward, and I look forward to seeing you many, many times.
Thank you.
Holly Warlick, thank you for being on Anything Is Possible.
Thank you so much.
We'll see you next time.